Well, hello everyone.
Hello.
Welcome back to Cinema Girl.
Cinema Squirrel.
And today we're talking about the movie Is This Thing On?
Yep.
Which we went to see last night. And we have not talked about it yet. So
Not a bit.
I'm so curious as to what you thought about it. But at 2 hours and I think 1 minute, interesting. I don't know. The perfectionist me probably would have been like, can we shave a minute off of this thing? It'll be exactly 2 hours. 2 hours and 1 minute, written by Bradley Cooper, Will Arnett, and Mark Chappell, directed by Bradley Cooper, who was having a lot of fun in the movie, it seemed.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just say that I think this was a movie about communication.
Yes.
And I know I like to talk about the significance of the title, but I think, Is This Thing On? Is a great title because it has to do both with communication and
yes.
also being at the mic, which happens in the movie, and also just, are we activating as people, as individuals? Are we on or are we just checked out? So anyway, so I think it's a movie about communication and about individuality, identity, continued self-growth while still in the middle of a relationship and like kind of the importance of that. So what'd you think there, Squirrel?
So are we breaking it down? Because I think we should start with how you called it. As soon as we sat down in the cinema with our snacks, you were like, is this going to be kind of sad?
I feel like it was probably going to be a sad movie.
And I thought, well, maybe it'll be about stand-up. Maybe it'll be really raucously funny. And nope, you called it. It's like a big old slice of life.
Yeah.
For these people.
Yes.
And so, yes, you get some stand-up. You get flashes of real stand-up comedians, which are great. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then you get Will Arnett just at a point in his life where he's like, I'm just going, I want to get a drink, and it's a $15 cover charge. How do I not pay the $15 cover charge? Go to an open mic night and put your name on a list. And I guess we're seeing, like, sometimes it works like, you're up next. And he's like, what? I'm actually up next? What now? And so I felt for him. But yeah, big old slice of life of people's marriages, lack of communication, smart kids who pick up on what's going on. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And yeah, doing this thing out of the blue, which some of us have done in our life. My squirrel life has led me to America. I did not start out here. So, I'm a British squirrel. Now I'm here. And it just seemed, to the people who knew me, it was out of the blue that I was just moving to America.
Oh, got it.
So that can't happen. So I was following Will Arnett going, yep, you can just do stuff sometimes that seems crazy to everyone else.
Right. I mean, for one thing, Will Arnett, we're used to him as Job from Arrested Development.
Right. Batman in the Lego Batman movie.
Lego Batman. I feel like we normally get to see him with a certain, comedic and with many walls of comedy up. We've never been like, I think, invited inside a more serious Will Arnett. I don't listen to Smartless podcasts, so perhaps there's something there. But
isn't that Sean Hayes as well?
Yes.
He co-stars in this and was good.
Yeah. It's definitely had a certain friend group feel to this movie.
I got shades of The Big Chill from the 80s.
Oh, sure.
When they're all at the sort of country house.
Yes. Well, and I mean like literal friend group. Like I feel like this is his friend group maybe, or close to
life.
it, or Bradley Cooper's friend group, or something. I mean, you noticed in the credits that the dogs were played by dogs of the same name, so these are just somebody's dogs. Right. So it felt very personal. And I always do like to see a comedic actor try something a little darker, and even relatively speaking, for Mike Myers. So I Married an Axe Murderer showed like a little bit of other kind of range for him, even though that was still a silly movie and he was playing various characters and doing Scottish accent and all that jazz. Same with Will Ferrell, you know, periodically he does something with a different tone. And I always like to see what our comic actors can do dramatically. I guess.
Now, can I ask you this though?
Yes.
What did you think of, like, this is the only thing really, like, I quite enjoyed the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I can believe it that it was 2 hours, 1 minute. You could have had a bit more of an edit. Maybe that's like too in love with the project for Bradley Cooper that I can't cut nothing.
Sure.
And it's like, I felt it. And near the end, I was like, when is this film over? And you don't want your audience doing that.
I definitely felt that way. I felt like, okay, so this is, I think there's 3 different kinds of movies going on here. There's a trying to be a stand-up comedian movie. There's a marriage movie.
Yep.
And then there's a friend group movie. So we've seen things like The Four Seasons, or like you said, Big Chill. We very much enjoyed the series Crashing. I thought that was like, you know, maybe treading very similar water, and that was like delightful, and I felt like was more grounded in, there's something very specific here. Someone's really trying to become a comedian. And then marriage, you know, like Marriage Story was one that definitely was kind of devastating. This was kind of trying, I think this was like juggling all of those things, and to tell you the truth, I'm not going to say I thought this was like great, because I really didn't think it was great, but it had its moments, and maybe we can just chat, because this is always a spoilerific post-movie discussion. So let's just get into like what our thoughts were about it and what we liked and what our criticisms are and stuff.
Sure.
Because this is like a movie book club, and this is what we do.
And hello to all of our, what are we up to? 77 subscribers.
Hey.
And we seem to get more each video, which we love. So if you're new to our channel, this is more of a discussion about the film rather than a review.
Yes.
Even though it's going to sound like a review, because we're going to say if we liked it or not.
Yes.
And
if we're ever reviewing horror, we're probably really going to annoy you, because we're not horror heads. And so we just experienced that with Primate. I'm sure we frustrated some people with our Primate review. But hey, now we're back to
we do like to mix it up.
Yes. Yeah, I want to never feel like we're too stuck in a particular thing, and I always want to try. And I hope the movie industry this year will help us. I also hope the theaters will help us. Sometimes, like I'm checking this site called For Showing and seeing all the movies coming out, but like, where can I see them? You know, where can I see them? It's really like a lot of them aren't anywhere near here, and there are art house theaters here, but I think more and more the art house theaters are having to do the bigger movies because of, you know, they're just trying to stay in business. So it's a little bit of a problem.
And for as packed as the movie theater was when we went, we still had plenty of room. Like the first few rows in our screening were empty, and it was everyone was packed in the back, and we couldn't understand, why is everyone sitting at the back? But anyway,
we're front to the front people. Yeah, that's true.
Shout out to the Terrace once again. We love you, and it was good to see you busy.
Yes, you're
definitely going to get a T-shirt at some point.
Busier, yes. Well,
so back to what did you think of Will Arnett's look? That was I was driving at before, because everyone else seemed to be in a movie, even if they were like supposed to be scruffy, they were movie scruffy. And the only person I felt was real was Will Arnett, with his kind of scrappy 5 o'clock shadow. His hair looked unkempt, and at some point, someone in the movie goes, "What do you do?" And he's like, "I'm in finance." So even when he was in his sharp suit, ready for the work day, his hair was unkempt. He still looked grizzled. He looked like, I'm not happy with my life.
Yeah.
And so I'm not really shaving or taking care of myself. And for me, he stood out as the most real looking person, and everyone else was kind of movie untidy or movie tired.
I think no one was quite as unhappy as his character.
That's true. So maybe that was on purpose.
So they definitely nailed that. And I don't know if Bradley Cooper told him just like slump in a corner for a week and get back to me. Because that's definitely how the movie opens.
So it worked.
Yeah, I mean, I did think like I
I believed he was unhappy.
yeah, totally. He was selling that well, and also I think showing off his thigh game a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, a little bit.
I was like, Will Arnett, bring in the thighs. You know, he was like,
Maybe he rides bikes. Who knows?
but I would say like yeah. So the movie One Thing is bookended by two different kind of like I think school-based performances.
Yes.
And totally different moods from definitely Will Arnett in each. So it's that was an interesting bookend. We never really got to see, the way it starts with basically this couple. Always a real aggressive toothbrushing in a movie too. I'm always like, wow.
Oh yeah.
And you're probably standing right in front of the camera too, not a mirror, and just going for it, like you're getting your 2 minutes in. Like, congratulations. But like,
also toothbrushes now, have lights on them to tell you're brushing too hard. And yet these people, even though they were wealthy, had boring old toothbrushes. They had analog toothbrushes. Where's the thing? Where's the Panasonic IO? Hey, stop brushing so hard. But anyway, yes, I noticed.
That's what she was crying about in the shower.
I noticed she was brushing her teeth, like wearing them down.
I was like, this is the energy I'm setting for this movie.
Right.
But so it opens with them basically saying, should we call it? Like basically this relationship. So we know from the kids when they go in the hallway that there have been sounds of fighting. We don't get treated to that. We come in post-fight, fairly amicable dissolution.
Yeah.
In fact, they go to hang and they kind of say like, "Oh, it's our last hurrah," and they even seem to be enjoying each other's company a bit. And then they're like, "Wait, what am I doing?" He gets on the subway with her and then has to get back off because he's going to a different location. Don't know if they had a babysitter. I do feel like the kids get a little lost in the shuffle of this.
Are we just supposed the grandparents always get them?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I guess
they seem happy to in the film.
They spend a lot of time in friend group situations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever really see anybody besides maybe Alex, like Will Arnett's character's mom, seems to be like somewhat critical of Alex to Tess, Laura Dern. Other than that, like, it doesn't seem like it seems like the friend group is egalitarianly, just sort of like, we are all friends. And, it just seems like nobody was like, ugh, I'm so glad you guys have been awful for a long time. I didn't feel like anybody had a strong opinion about saving or not saving their relationship. And they almost tried to kind of keep it going. We always saw them with the friend groups together. I don't know, it was an interesting choice. I felt like this movie didn't want to tell us that anybody was bad. And I do appreciate that when a movie gives us a more complex reason for a breakup than just like, this one's clearly awful. However, we kind of need to see something. And the best clue of it that I kind of got was when they sort of started to get back together a little bit. Then you kind of got to get into their issues a little bit. But I will say I wanted to see Alex at his damn job at least one time in this movie.
Oh.
We never saw that. We never saw him at his job. He was somehow able to be wealthy, because let's face it, these people have a really nice house. He bought a
brand new VW bus.
I Googled it. Somewhere in the $60,000 range. Bus was sort of an impulse buy in the midst of also having an apartment that was probably
like downtown. Where were they set? It wasn't New York, was it? Or was it?
I'm not sure.
somewhere with a big comedy scene, so either Chicago or New York, but they kind of keep that nebulous too, or maybe I was just like zoned out and like I didn't see the chyron on the screen, like New York now, 2025.
Right.
But yeah, so it was a big city, but he has an apartment downtown. So yeah, his job must pay him a lot of money, and you never see what he does except saying, I'm in finance, and it's like, okay, so you're wealthy.
He mentions that he's paying the mortgage and for an apartment.
Right.
And he also buys a Volkswagen. And is he parking that in this big city where he has his apartment also? Like, we don't really see his commute. It's just that sometimes he comes by the house with his Volkswagen.
Right.
And they also have friends who have multiple homes, it seems like. Because at one point they're in this like little apartment that they took the subway to go to, but there's another part, right, where they go visit. That's a place that seems a little more like water side or
the Hamptons or something.
So
that's their sort of get-together house.
So we sort of start getting into like rich people problems territory, which I guess I have a little bit of a problem with. It's just oftentimes I think movies forget how poor
some of us can be.
And
that's true of a lot of the films we've seen recently. After the Hunt, everybody was wealthy in that. No one was struggling.
There's just...
Even the primate, super rich people living on Hawaii.
Right. It's more often than not, you know, I feel like Baltimoreans was one of the few movies that showed us like a more humble, relatable...
real.
Yeah, like setting. And so I think I can't help it. That kind of colors the likability for me a little bit. And they have to really be at this point, they have to really be likable.
Yeah.
Because, like we were just watching, sorry to jump ship, but we were just watching Greenland because we're going to be watching Greenland 2 next and reviewing that. And I'm just like, these people seem like super entitled and assuming they're going to get, and they keep delaying other people's flights by being annoying. And I'm like, I think I might socioeconomically have, like, you really need to wow me with your personality. And I felt like by the end of the movie, I kind of scribbled down, the characters become increasingly likable throughout the film, ending at almost likable.
Almost.
I think that Bradley Cooper is definitely having a ton of fun. His character is named Balls for some reason.
Ton of fun, and there's you bringing up Baltimoreans. When he is introduced of like, hey everyone, and then he immediately falls on his face and falls on a carton of oat milk that explodes all over the floor. I thought it was the lead from Baltimoreans. I was like, oh, it's that guy. Yay, he's got a part in a big... Oh no, that's Bradley Cooper. What the heck?
They did have kind of a similar look.
Yeah.
And then he's like sopping up the spill.
Oh my goodness, that was great.
A side of a roll of paper towels.
What a choice.
This is how you do it or whatever. And whether that's like...
Let's be honest, that was a dude's choice for... This is how stupid dudes can be. Like
what is it called? Weaponized incompetence.
Right. Because he even says, do you have paper towels? They hand him a whole roll and he just drops the whole roll into the spill. And I was like, yep. I've met someone like that.
And he's like, you know, oh, you live with an artist. And anyway, I feel like his character I feel like he's doing an imitation of somebody and we just don't know. Like it's an inside joke or something. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen Alex at his job at least once because let's face it, his life is falling apart a little bit. And we kind of, as a viewer, need to see this. Like he's in an apartment. He's trying out comedy. If you're also trying out comedy, shouldn't your work life be suffering? I think if you're trying to be at times single dad, at times maybe having a little more time because, you know, being a part-time parent all of a sudden, but still trying to establish a place, trying to, you know, deal with the emotions of what's happening with your relationship, your marriage, trying to take on a whole new hobby and keep a job that surely if you're at that level, whatever it was he was doing, surely there are calls coming in. There are messages that need to be responded to. There are emergencies. I kind of feel like they left the job side of it a little raw in the baking.
Yeah.
Was not so. I also think that, and this is specific to me, so I don't know. Stop watching this if you hate me. Like, I just think that, like, when a show has a big friend group and they're doing brunches and they're putting out platters of bagels, there's something about that. It kind of reminds me of How I Met Your Mother, when Jason Segel's character Marshall says, like, kids age you or whatever, and he says that in front of somebody who's about to have a baby, so it's it's funny and offensive at the time, but like whenever I see the big friend group who go off without their kids. So other people had kids in this friend group.
Right.
Somehow they're all going places together to have this like adult brunch or this adult little like dinner party. For some reason, maybe it's supposed to make them seem forever youthful to have this friend group and without their parental responsibility on display at the moment. But for some reason, it always seems really uncool to me. Something about it seems old. And I think any time in my life when I found myself at a brunch, I've wanted to get out of it as fast as possible. I don't know. Maybe that's why I hang out with this squirrel now. But that's probably very specific to me. But, in the comments, do you find that does a brunch age you? Let me know.
So you mean old as in like old people? It makes you feel like an older person.
I think it seems so like businessy or so like establishment or something. We are grown-ups now and I'm super immature. I have a YouTube a fairly new YouTube channel with a squirrel.
Right, you're not bringing me up at brunch. Hey, I talk about movies with this squirrel. Like,
I don't. Yeah, so something about that, they didn't seem as funny as maybe they could have been to sell that this is like, we're fun, cool people. It seemed a little more small talky and kind of like, I'm
if you hear any noise, there's a dog in the room.
I'm kind of like, like they also threw this really fancy party as a birthday party for one of the kids, and it was like massive. And even though they tried to show that it was a little wonky because the balloons were kind of the balloon assortment was kind of funny.
That was good.
Outside was it nice?
As he walks by going, I should have got the balloons under his breath.
It's a nice detail.
Yeah.
It's a nice detail, but against...
They were like muted colors or something.
One was black and not very like blown up. But show me that against like a fancy house and multiple, I think, entertainers and plenty of food. Like, it's not enough to sell like there's anything about this group that is like still trying to figure stuff out. They kind of have their act a little too together in the midst of supposedly falling apart. That's what I think.
And I have a little note about the brunch scene where they all started humming Amazing Grace. Mm-hmm. And all I can think is, because we heard that before in the Greenland movie, I think it's just because it's royalty free.
Oh.
I noticed in the credits, it just said Amazing Grace, not performed by, it just said traditional. Not even like an accreditation to someone. It was just Amazing Grace, traditional. That's it. And then, the other songs with all the performed by, written by.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, right. So why did they, was that just to save money? That's all I could think of. Anyway.
I feel like it was something, who knows if they just sort of improvised that?
Maybe.
Maybe they're,
just seemed like an odd choice.
Maybe somebody was humming it and
they all sort of joined in. It was a sweet scene, but it was an odd choice of song to me.
It was kind of like putting the action on pause for a minute and just hanging out with these people, but maybe in a way it reminded you that they were all like actors and performers. I don't know.
True.
So
Oh, but to get to your point about feeling old, I thought you meant like it felt like an older film. Like, is Bradley Cooper trying to? Because I mentioned The Big Chill, and there's other movies where it's like a big friend group and they all have their moments with each other, and it's like the brunch scene. I thought that was, like you said, where are all these kids? Like, they've all got sitters or grandparents. That, to me, sounded like a throwback to older films where it's like, well, back in the day, they didn't really care where their kids were. Kids are probably at home on their own. And we kind of don't do that now. Like, people are more, aware of, like, where are my children?
Right.
Whereas in the 70s and the 80s, it was like, kids, I don't know. They're probably doing something.
I think they do, like, I did like that they showed both Tess and Alex talking to their kids at different times in the car and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they also, I don't know, they're like, I did kind of like they're practicing, because then it ends with this big under pressure thing, and I kind of laugh when they're like, oh, under pressure. I had no idea that's what they were working on. Like, that was kind of funny.
Oh, yeah.
And also, it almost seems like a little joke, too, of, like, Vanilla Ice, too. Because it's like, he was like, no, this is a whole different song.
Oh, yeah. And that, to me, felt like the kids were actually playing in the other room. When he said, like, 12 weeks, and I've just now realized what they're playing and rehearsing for.
Yeah. So, and that is to say, like, there are, like, this movie wasn't torture, like it was kind of nice to hang out. I just like wanted to care about the characters a little bit more. And one of my, like, maybe a justice for me in this, I had to think about it, but I was like, I think my justice for the comedy community.
Oh yeah.
In this movie, because they're really like welcoming him in. And I feel like they're like super kind to him.
Right.
He gets one to be a magician at his kid's party, and I don't think even watches. Like, she's doing magic just for like the actual children, like not for a big group of kids.
Right.
And I think she's just there to be able to like connect the dots for when Tess accidentally shows up at the comedy show later on.
Which that was some great acting by Laura Dern. Like, she starts off being really super angry, and you like see it, like her clenched jaw and some veins popping out, and it's like, oh, she's pissed. And then as he continues his like story, because he doesn't really tell jokes, he tells stories about his life, and they are funny, and the audience is reacting, and then you realize, oh, his story is kind of sweet at the end, and her angry face can't help but sort of break into a smile, but you can tell she's like, don't smile at this. I don't want to smile at this. I don't want to enjoy it, but I am. Damn it.
Right. And she ditched Peyton Manning or whatever, like pretty much instantaneously.
Oh, is that who that was? Yeah. I figured he was a sports guy. I'm like, this guy, what's he doing here?
Well, I guess I want to say that I think slightly, maybe because they were trying to like jam so much into this movie, and maybe if they had been willing to like maybe skip the friend group, they could have done more with the comedy group, and maybe made the comedy inclusion feel a little more complete. Maybe because I can't believe that the comedy community would, somebody who gets up there and does just kind of okay, that they would just let him sit at the table at the booth
almost immediately,
with the promoter, like, we watch Crashing. We know how long it takes to get there.
It's not so much, hey kid, you've got the goods, sit with us.
Right, he didn't
it was
really
like, hey
have
old
the
man,
goods.
You were relatively funny, so sit with us, the cool kids.
And I think we're supposed to guess that at the end they show him smiling on stage. I think we're supposed to get the idea that he does keep trying comedy, and
that it's helping him.
And that maybe he's being more. Maybe it's a little lighter near the end of the movie, like what he's getting up there and doing. But it is sort of like a substitute for therapy, and paying your cover to get into the bar. And he gets, they do show him rehearsing a little bit in the car, but for the most part, like, I felt like everyone's welcoming to him. Jensen, who plays Jill, I follow her on Instagram, so I was kind of like, oh, I was interested in her being in there, and I think she did a really good job. And he ends up, like, yeah, she's being funny with him, like, riding on his notes, kind of mentoring him a little bit, and even like sleeps with him, and and then that next morning he's like, wait, are you a nurse? And she's like, no, I'm a comic. And she seems kind of combative about it because she identifies as a comic, and I don't think you could say the same thing for Alex. Will Arnett's character is just visiting, and maybe he does continue with it, but the comedy part felt like he was just visiting for a little bit, and all these people are like hardcore devoted, and we're supposed to think he's doing a high-paying finance job in the middle and not to just help pay his rent until the next comedy thing. I don't see his character, I don't know. I don't know if I see this comedy becoming anything more than I like to do some open mics.
Right, like a hobby.
And this helped keep me company until I realized that I do want to be with my wife,
Or in the sequel, it's like hobby / therapy, and then he blows up and he can leave his finance job and just all of a sudden he's in movies and he's doing TV shows and who knows.
So one thing that I thought was... one thing that did sort of really ring true for me was, and even though I kind of disagreed, it felt lived in, it felt real, was when she finds out, when Tess finds out that he has blown up a giant photo of her as a younger, successful volleyball player.
Right.
And he's trying to show her this thing that he did, which I think genuinely is sweet. And trying to show his sons like kind of what a badass their mom is, trying to like be like, this is your mom, she's kind of a hero, or she's like, whatever. And she's like, why didn't you show me as a mom for them? Also, you
can't see her face in this big blown up photo.
Yeah, it's the back of me. It doesn't show me being their mom. It shows a past version of me that you're into. And basically, like, even though I really kind of thought it was a nice thing that he did, especially since ostensibly they weren't going to be getting back together. Like, they were going to be getting divorced, and he put a giant photo of her on the wall, and she's objecting to it. Like, it felt like real lived in baggage. Those triggers that people have, like, I didn't really understand it, but I understood from her acting that this was one of her things. And I know that I can turn on a dime sometimes in the eyes of other people. And it's because, I've just had one of my issues activated.
Like, I'm doing something nice for you by putting acorns in your shoes, and you're like, I've got to put the shoes on.
That hurt.
Yep.
And like, we don't really ever see anybody from her family either.
Right.
So we kind of don't know what her backstory is there. But both of them are experiencing a moment of getting to like regain a sense of self. It's, who am I without this other person? And she's enjoying getting back into volleyball as a coach, and he just is trying out stand-up comedy because he didn't have money for the door fee. See, that's the thing that seems a little odd about this. It's not like, what I always wanted to do was this. And
he's just trying to waive a fee. Oh, but also their conversation in the attic, like, I thought that was really good, where they're kind of getting heated and partly listening to each other. Like, at one point, Laura Dern says, I hear you, and I agree. Yes, I was a bit of a downer. Like, the conversation goes one way, and then she's like, nope, I hear you, as we're arguing. And then he doesn't give her the same kind of, oh, you're right about something. He just gets angry and then the friend breaks like the door or something. She comes falling into the room and he just gets to storm out. But I felt that was kind of long-term relationship. Like they had a conversation and went, even though we're angry at each other, I kind of see your point.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great.
And maybe when he comes along to the porch at the end, he sort of like returns that energy.
Right,
you know, when he's like, she's in the middle of an important meeting, but he's like, hey, do you have a minute to have like a really important conversation?
And I liked her smacking the porch like, damn it, I'll think about it.
I'll think about it. Yeah. She was pretty great in this. Another thing that I liked was when she's at his apartment and she takes a shower and she's seeing that like her kids have toothbrushes there and she gets emotional. I felt like that was very true to life, that like if your household was that important to you, just recognizing that it's split into two zones now, two locations, and like there's a thing where these kids are there's a place where these kids are living, and this is what they use when they live there, and then you're not a part of it, you know.
Right.
There was something else. I liked what she said was when she said, this is what I thought was like more original about the movie. When she watches his comedy set, she suddenly becomes attracted to him. But the thing is, he does say in his routine, like, sleeping with this other woman actually made me miss my wife, and blah, blah, blah. And then he talks about her silences and and stuff like that. So he says very specific stuff about her in his act. And she was like, you know what? I think part of it is just hearing you tell a room full of people that you missed me. You know, I think that rang really true to me, that sometimes people do need like a bigger swing. And that was kind of like a weird, line.
Yeah.
But like, you have to believe that the person actually gets it, and that this is like a true line in the sand, and not just like, hey, can we just, I just want to, you know, get us back together and then go back to the way I was. You don't really feel like that's what's happening here. You do feel like that this has been a radical opportunity for them to like see each other differently and maybe know how to move forward differently. And they've kind of held their relationship, you know, out the apartment window and dangled it, you know, and then thought like, no, I think we want to keep it. I do think that the movie kind of shows that the other relationship did that too, like Bradley Cooper and his, you know, wife, like I guess wife in there.
Right, because they kept talking about,
Christine.
oh, you inspired us because we know it's over, and then talked about it off camera.
And then it turns out like she's been going to his film sites with him and traveling with him, and it almost, I feel like the movie is almost, it runs the risk of seeming to be saying that like, if you break up, you just didn't think hard enough about it, or you just didn't try. I think that like, I'm not sure I love that, you know, like, you know, sometimes breakups have to happen. And I feel like, you know, what they did was they kind of wrap it back up with a lot of emotion that is kind of being borrowed from a really emotional closing song, which is Under Pressure, the classic, you know, Queen and David Bowie song being performed by children, including their children.
Right.
And of course, these two are like dancing and kissing and everything like they're at a rock show or whatever. I think like ending on that note, like, hey, here's a performance, unlike the opening of the movie where Will Arnett sort of slumped in the corner, not appreciating the big like Chinese lion performance or whatever.
Dragon. It's a lion.
It's a lion, right? It was a lion.
Dragon, lion,
I
whatever.
think it was a lion. Anyway,
I like
think that's what
that
they said.
whole sort of conversation with his kids, where they kept correcting it. It was a lion, Dad. Was it?
It's by the time that happens, and it's easy to get swept up in the emotion of like, oh, here are kids performing, the song's amazing, the vocalists are doing a really good job, and isn't life beautiful? I think we're back together. So I feel like they took us on an experience.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think like there were a few, there were some moments where I was like, okay, yeah, that rang true.
There were some flashes of greatness.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, it's like, it's a good film. It's not great.
Right. I think I would have maybe enjoyed it a bit more if I had maybe related to the characters a little bit more. And I think, call me lower middle class, but I think if I had even had the sense that affording all of an apartment and a house and a Volkswagen was going to be a financial strain of any kind, like the $15 at the $15 bar cover, I guess he couldn't handle, but he could handle all of the rest of that. I think if I had felt like there was a little more like, what was the movie? Oh yeah, it was the Good Grief movie that was Dan Levy. I remember just feeling like, wow, nobody kind of needs a job, and no one's, and then everybody has nice apartments, and I
don't know if that's the new fantasy in films. It's like, Indiana Jones is an archaeologist going to, that's the fantasy. Now it's like everybody in film can afford everything.
Right,
is that the fantasy now?
The Roses. With their
yeah.
fancy place. Let's build a dream house, and maybe that'll like bring us back together. I don't know.
Jay Kelly. Everybody seemed to be rich in that, even the assistants.
Yeah. So I think like, I think
Good fortune. Even when Aziz is supposed to be poor, it's still kind of nice house he had.
Well, he was one point living in his car, so.
Well, that's true. So that got the most real. Out of all the films we've seen last year, Good Fortune got the most real.
I don't know if it got the most real, but it got like, yeah.
True. It got somewhat real.
Yeah. So I guess, I think like it was, I would say, fairly well done. It just wasn't maybe a story that I needed to be told. And, or maybe I just didn't.
Oh, didn't it say it was based on a true story?
Said it was I wonder who that was.
Yeah.
But it just, I think like I didn't feel the stakes of it. And I think, say, for example, not to keep referring to Crashing, but like, he's throwing himself completely into his comedy dreams. The marriage is definitely out the window, and he's like scooping ice cream at Cold Stone Creamery and like sleeping on people's couches. And so maybe just things were it was a little bit too soft a landing for me to find it super compelling. Because let's face it, a lot of times, you really are, if you are choosing individual happiness, or taking the risk of like going off on your own, you are taking on a world of financial scariness.
Yeah.
And there was never any sense that like Laura Dern's character needed to find that job stat. It was more like she would enjoy getting back to it, but it wasn't like, and of course it was all working out. She was going to get to be a coach for the Olympics or something.
Yeah. So, like you said, rich people problems. If you want to see a film with rich people problems, then this will be good for you.
And you want to watch them hang out with their friends and eat brunch and,
Sing.
sing together, and like their kids go to a pretty groovy school, and they get a new Volkswagen bus, and occasionally scrap it up with the comedy scene, but only visiting,
It's all in all not bad. It's not bad.
Right. I don't
What
know.
did you think? Did you think it was good?
Yeah.
Bad?
Did you want more from it? Did you want to be gutted more by it? Or were you gutted by it? Do you think we're being unreasonable? Do you think we're clouded by our own time spent struggling? Do you think...
Did you walk out of it and go see Primate twice? What did you do?
Are you hyped to see Greenland 2?
Oh, we are.
Do you wish that... do you wish that some of these other movies that are coming out, were being shown somewhere near you? Do you feel a little left out? Where do you have to live to see some of these movies? Anyway, thanks for listening this far if you have, and thanks for commenting, even if you think we're lame.
We do read every comment.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people say that on their videos, but we don't get that many comments, so we can't actually
pretty
read
easy.
yours.
It's pretty easy to do.
We appreciate it.
Yes.
Good or bad.
Yes. All right.
The end.
Is this thing on? I hope
Is
so.
this thing on?
I hope it is.